One name that everybody here cannot forget is Alex Smith. I mean, I remember being at that game, and I still can get emotional because of just feeling the weight of what happened at that injury. And then, of course, it's been very well documented on him trying to come back. And look, he almost lost his life, almost lost his leg, and here he is now, surprising everybody with the work that he's putting on the field. Anticipated to start maybe on the physically unable to perform list, the PUP list, but the fact that he has made it to this point has pretty much everybody surprised. So quick to write him off, and now you're saying you kind of can't do that. Head coach Ron Rivera even was saying, brought him up, said he just kind of is shocked a little bit by what he's doing. Yeah. But while he's out there and he's doing all the motions, and we've seen all that Santana, the big question being, like, can he protect himself? But before we even get to that, like, if he's out there and if he can go and he can get cleared for contact and all that, typically you have 2 quarterbacks on a roster. You could be looking at 3, and that comes at a cost to another spot somewhere else.
Yeah, it comes at a cost to another spot, but let's just be honest. I'm really rooting for the kid. I'm really rooting for the guy. Let me say that.
The kid, he's like 37 years old, 16 seasons.
Yeah, you kind of get caught up in that when you're talking about so many young players. But Alex is far from that. But it's remarkable to see this guy fight back and be where he's at today. But let's just be honest. When you heard Ron Rivera first come in here, he wanted to build the young guys that he has already. And I believe that this is Haskins' job. I think that he's the long-term thought when it comes to quarterbacks, and why have to have him in a situation where he's limbo and not knowing if Alex is going to be able to come in to replace me, or is something going to happen with my spot. So I think for sure they're going to go out there and allow Alex to continue to have progress and look as good as he's been looking. But this is Haskins' spot, and I think you have a guy like Kyle. He's a great insurance policy. He knows the system. You can always count on him. But if everything falls apart and Alex showed that he can protect himself, then why not have the rest assured knowing that you can have a guy of his caliber go out there and fill in for both of the young guys.
Okay, protect himself. Take us through it. What's he got to be able to do?
Well, you can go out there and run those routes and be on air throwing the ball to those guys, but when things in the nitty-gritty and you see those guys coming up field, those a la Chase Youngs, those Sweats in practice, if you can get around and be able to be mobile, sticking that foot in the ground and find yourself doing some of those things of what you used to doing, then we can start moving forward of saying, now let's see if we can get them in some live action. I think they're far away from that right now. Mm-hmm. Heck, it's 5 weeks that they have to play their first game. I know they're not trying to throw them out there then. So, but I do believe that it's great to see them out there making progress, just so you can have that in the back of your head. If we need another quarterback, we have him.
Well, I mean, during COVID, you never know. I mean, heaven forbid one, Dwayne goes down or Kyle goes down to COVID. You do need to be able to have that option.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to see him go out there and have to get sacked and get hurt again, especially not on this team where he risked all that. But yes, it is a great comeback story, so you kind of have a bit of mixed emotions again on how it goes. But I think part of protecting himself, you have to look at the offensive line and the question marks you have on the offense. We talked yesterday, I'm sure we'll continue to go through this. They feel pretty confident on the right side, but the left side, there's a lot of question marks, especially at who's going to protect the blind side. Who's going to have that left tackle position? You have Jaron Christian, and you have Cornelius Lucas, and then you also have Sadiq Charles, the rookie coming up out of LSU. How much do you need to see, like, faith in that side of the line before you can say, okay, maybe even we put Alex out there?
That plays a big part into, your decision-making when it comes to your quarterbacks, but I do believe it's a lot more that they probably going to think about and go into when it comes down to that decision. Heck, it's going to change a lot about what you have on your roster if you do decide to make that decision to say we're going to put him on a 53 man roster. So I think for right now, let's just continue to be happy about this progress.
Everybody go sing nice kumbaya music because he's out there
look,
doing the work.
Alex, I'm all for you because I always want to give that guy that second chance or that opportunity to go out there and regain what was once his. But for right now, let's just cross that bridge when it gets here.
You talk about kind of knowing the playbook. Look, Kyle Allen knows it because he worked with Scott Turner in Carolina, played there last season for him. By the way, he was like, I think the 4th, 5th quarterback on the roster. Ron Rivera said, hey, your chances are going to come, and he got out there. So when he says a competition, anybody has the chance, he does mean that. They say that Dwayne Haskins Jr. is picking up the offense just fine. They don't seem too concerned about him doing that. But Alex Smith is quite familiar with the offense, says he knows 75% of it because he played under Norv Turner in San Francisco back in 2006. Plus, we know how smart Alex Smith is. Nobody's ever going to question him on that front by any stretch of the imagination. But when he gets out there, he can know the playbook, so he can protect himself. But is there a part of him that plays maybe like a little bit scared?
You're going to initially have that thought in the back of your head. One of the things I've learned about injuries is always going to come up. You're going to have that thought. But being the guys that we are, the gladiators that we are when we are here, you have to fight. You have to fight and make sure that you can say that, when I have doubt, that's going to give me a chance to be in that position again. So you have to go out there without doubt. So I'm sure he's doing the mental things too, as well as he's doing the physical things to get himself prepared for that day when it may come. You know, he has to know that, hey, I have a risk of re-injuring myself, but at the same time, all these guys have that risk of getting hurt. And my risk is a little greater because of the circumstances that I dealt with my injury, but it's prepared. You know, it's healed. It's ready to go. So he had to go through all that stuff to get himself emotionally ready and physically ready. But once he's out there, all that stuff out the door. You have to go out there and play football.